So here we are finishing off the series for physical attack weapons, and this is a bit of technology that we've mentioned in previous videos,
Yes.
but we think is very, very good for physical attacks.
It is very, very good for physical attacks. So we've gone through the basics, we've gone through the types, we've gone through the weapons. Now this is the tech.
Yep.
So let's have a look at that.
Triple Strength Myomer.
TSM.
TSM. So there's two types. There's your military standard stuff, so Triple Strength
Goes in your
Myomer.
BattleMech.
Yep. And then there's an industrial version.
Yeah.
Similar, same, but not.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Not good.
But
Not good.
But essentially, your triple strength myomer is, well, I mean, the myomer is like your muscles.
Yeah.
In the neck, so they
It's kind of like just
superpower them.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like bundles of musculature type thing if it was alive, but it's not.
It's not.
So there you go. And it all works with heat.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, triple strength myomer, like under the rules, it only works when your mech is running hot. So you need to be on the heat scale. Specifically, you need to be at least 9.
Yeah. 9 or higher.
Yeah.
And that can get nasty because I'm pretty sure, well, it's 5 and then...
There you go. So put
Yeah,
it here
5
just for
and
our
8.
little reference. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So 5 gives you a -1 to your movement points and 8 gives you a +1 modifier to fire. And you're going to be putting up with that. And if you're not very careful and keep yourself at the 9, dead on 9, then as soon as you go to 10, you get -2 to your movement points.
Yeah. So you're probably wondering, why the hell would you want to run hot and slow down, especially in physical combat, if you want to get into combat with somebody?
Yeah, because you can bring down an Atlas with a kick.
Yeah. It's very, very cool.
That's the way.
So triple strength myomer, you need to be running hot, at least 9, like we said. But the advantages that it gives you, other than like the increase in damage to physical attacks, it also adds to your base movement, your base walking. So you actually add +2 to whatever you're at. So let's assume you've got no damage and you say a commando, right?
Yep.
So he's walk 6. So his new walk would be 8, and then you'd adjust the running.
Yeah, it's 1.5 times for running, so it'd be 12.
Yeah, so he's going alongside a locust.
He's gone from a 6-9 to an 8-12 as long as he's above, like at or above 9 heat.
Yeah.
So he's going to take -1 to his movement points.
Yeah.
And you recalculate that afterwards, don't you?
Yeah. So add, then subtract, and then work it out.
So he'd be a 7-11.
Yeah. So like you said, as soon as you jump up to 10 on the heat scale, it sort of lose any sort of benefit you'd have.
That's
from
it.
that.
So that movement benefit goes away. But you can also look at it as you mitigate the minus.
Yeah, true.
So
right.
you can run at 10 heat, or well, up to 12 heat you can run at and not take any movement modifying penalties because of your TSM.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
So you have to remember that effect will kick in the next phase. So in this phase, you do everything, you get and then in the heat phase at the end of that turn, you work out what your heat level is on the heat phase, on the heat scale.
Yep.
And then you want to try and get it at 9, and then all those effects, like everything,
Kicking in at the next one. Yeah. So you're going heat phase to heat phase, basically.
Essentially.
And trying to keep it at that 9 or 10. So you have to be very wary of energy weapons, heat sinks, heat sink damage, energy criticals, engine criticals.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, because they affect your heat rather drastically.
Ironically, though, if an opponent shoots you and does some engine damage, normally you'd be like, yay, but then they got triple strength myomer, that helps them. You go, oh no. So some other benefits there, side benefits.
Get more quickly, blow them up. Otherwise they're going to hurt you, because the next thing is that you double the mech's lifting ability, which really only comes into play in scenarios that I've seen. It is like you have to be able to lift something up for an objective, or you want to be able to move some things or something like that. I don't think I've had a game where lifting capability is.
Well, look, we're both fans of campaign play and things like that.
Yes.
So especially, I mean, mercs are obviously going to love that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Whatever
yeah,
else,
if you can drag a larger mech with its head blown off out, then than just ripping its leg off and taking that.
That's where you work out the agreement with your employer in your contract, and they say, yeah, whatever you can carry off the field, you can keep. You just don't tell them you've got all mechs with triple strength.
And oh no, we're walking through this forest that's suddenly on fire for no reason. Well done, Firestarter. Yeah.
It'd be quite a light show. There's all these mechs walking to their dropship, all like Mexican, just to keep the heat up. So
just to keep that heat going.
There are some like level 3 rules and things like that where you can disable heat sinks, which would help. So if you need to get to that level, I mean, you can fire weapons even if they're not in range or whatever it is, if you want to get your heat up. So
you'll find that most of the mechs, well, you might not. You might have examples that completely contradict what I'm about to say. But what I've seen, most of the mechs that are equipped with TSM usually are heavy on the energy weapons. Or they've got a really high jump, or something like that. They usually build in some way for you to build up heat. So I think the only one that I can really think of off the top of my head was the Night Sky. That version that I think I brought it in with me. It had the TSM.
Yeah.
And it was all pulse lasers, and pulse lasers all build up more heat than normal lasers, and lasers build up heat anyway.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of heat build up there. And it was really, really, really easy to get yourself to 9 heat. It was easy to get yourself to like 20 heat if you were careful. But with management, you could float somewhere between 9 and say 13-ish, and you would be okay. Because the main benefit of TSM is that it doubles damage for punch, kick, club, as well as some physical weapon attacks. And if you go back through our videos and have a squiz, normally we mention TSM is effective.
Yeah. We've got the tables, we've got them up there so you can see. But
So now you've seen this one, you can go back and watch the other ones and go, oh, that's what the bloody hell they're talking about. You know?
I suddenly like this mech now because now I understand what Triple Strength Myomer is.
Yeah.
And Triple Strength Myomer does take up physical slots.
Yep.
But
and
you can't destroy them.
Yeah.
So you just re-roll.
The critical hits become a re-roll.
Yeah.
So you can't actually destroy the system. Which is good.
Yeah, sure.
So even if you're, for example, Night Sky that does now 20 damage with its hatchet instead of 10, is taking critical hits like mad, unless you actually lose the hatchet, then, and even then,
I got my feet.
There you got feet, you got hands. As long as you're moving and you've got the actual like limbs to do it with, they can't stop your TSM from working. I mean, they could get a coolant truck or something and like hose you down with coolant.
In the middle of the battle. The Kiwi car wash hose down thing or whatever.
He's got no more weapons. He's just running like 2 engine hits and he's at his 10 level. Boom!
But that's quite good. It's an interesting piece of equipment to have on your,
it's really cool.
Your BattleMechs, your combat BattleMechs. But they are useful on the industrial side of things as well. So they do have industrial Triple Strength Myomer.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting thing about that, because those mechs generally aren't sealed, so they need an atmosphere, they don't like water, things like that. So they work a bit, they're more like when you're putting equipment on like conventional tanks and things like that. So, energy weapons are a bit different, things like that. But because it's sort of open, you don't have to worry too much about internal heat for a tank because it all sort of vents out. And that's the same sort of thing with this. So with the industrial Triple Strength Myomer, it's always active. You don't have to worry about a heat scar or anything. It's always on. I mean, that's the way it was designed for that equipment to do the heavy lifting. So that's good. But there are some penalties to it. If you're trying to do any physical attacks with that sort of mech, you've got a +2 penalty. So they're not designed for combat. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just a bit too rigid or awkward or...
Yeah, probably. I always think when they say industrial mech, I always think of the loader in Aliens.
Yeah, that's true.
That sort of thing with like the hydraulics and stuff, but replace that with the Myomer and it's all running hot. It's always... you'd be having difficulties trying to kick and stuff like that.
Well, that's true. Well, in fact, you get a +1 penalty on all your piloting checks as well.
There you
go. Anything that has that. So, but I mean, like the benefits outweigh the penalties. I mean, industrial mechs, you don't want them in the combat. They're not really designed for that. I know a lot of periphery places sort of get them into the field if they need to, because that's what they got.
And you just, I mean, you could, if you're doing campaign stuff, like say, you could have it so that in the initial phases of the invasion type thing, all that's available is industrial mechs. They're the first ones on the scene because they're where the invasion, they're in the starports and the water ports and all that, where the actual beachheads are going to be made.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no reason you can't include them in your games, but you just got to remember the downsides, that's all. Yeah. The big one for me, apart from the modifiers, because anything that modifies my dice rolls is just no. But you don't gain the additional movement points, so that's a bit sucky. I think most of the industrial mechs are pretty slow to start with.
That's all right.
I haven't seen stats for many of them. No.
But from like your standard triple strength Myomer for your standard battle mechs that go onto the field and things like that, it's a good piece of tech. It's really worth having it on your mech if you can sort of.
Yeah, I don't think they started using it like canon wise. I don't think any of the ones have it until after the clan invasion.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, so it may have been available when the Star League was around.
Stuff.
I don't know.
So you could try for Lost.
I need to have a look.
Like
that info is probably in tactical operations or something. We can have a look and
we can have a squeeze. But
yeah,
it's cool. I really, really like it. And like I say, you take the Knights guy that I had before, and instead of 10 points of damage with a hatchet, if you can get his heat up to 9 or higher and hold it there, you're doing 20 points with that hatchet. And you can bring down assault class mechs with 20 points of damage repeatedly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're using all those pulse lasers in the meantime to keep your heat level right.
I guess the trick is you pick your opponent who you're going to go after, your target, and just make sure you're firing at him with all your weapons, so by the time you get there, you're ready to
soften it up a bit and kick that triple strength in as quickly as you can to mitigate the movement point problem. And you can still run straight at them and just hatchet the poo-poo out of them. Yeah. That's the way to go.
That's good. So triple strength Myomer. I really like it as a piece of technology. I think it adds another level of...
if you are into your physical attacks and physical attack weapons, this is gold. This is your thing.
So probably not for the clanners out there, but definitely for the inner spheres and whatever else, it's yum.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so that ends our little series of the physical attack stuff. I mean, there may be some other things that we sort of come across and decide we want to mention, but we've covered a lot, and I don't know, I think it's quite good. I've sort of learned a lot doing a bit more research into them.
Actually reading bits that you haven't read in like years. Yeah. And going, oh, right, I forgot about that. It's quality.
All right, so... That's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye, guys.